Hey ladies and gents, welcome back. This is going to be part 1 to what if Asta had the Sharingan. So, without further ado, let's get started. So, this what if will basically be taking place or starting right after they went to the church and thought that they were all getting their grimoires. So, in this one, Asta actually did get a grimoire. I'm just going to say that he got, like, fire. Just because, like, most of the Uchiha kind of get, like, fire and different things like that. That's going to be Asta's like type of magic slash mana. So when he goes home and he's doing his things, he just has a normal 3-leaf grimoire, and he's not really as looked down upon as he is by Yuno. He still immensely trained his body, just because of the fact that Yuno was so much like more of a prodigy than him, and he wanted to catch up to him. So he would still, like, immensely train his body, and basically he'd still be the beefcake that he normally is. So now, Yuno would basically be trying to fight somebody, but he would get his, or somebody trying to take his 4-leaf grimoire, and they would actually successfully take it. And they were about to kill Yuno now, and they were basically just, like, about to, and Asta jumps down, and he sees this. And in this moment, instead of getting his 5-leaf grimoire and the sword like he normally gets, he awakens the Sharingan. It's not like a less developed one. He gets like a fully developed 3-tomo Sharingan, and he charges now at the whatever the guy's name is. Or the guy with like chain magic, I'm pretty sure is what he has. And he's throwing all these chains at him, and Asta's looking at them, and he just sees them all going in slow motion as he easily dodges each and every one of them. He even grabs one of the chains to basically give himself some extra speed by pulling it. And now he's running towards him, easily dodging every single one of the chains that's being thrown at him. And he slams his fist into the guy's gut, and he notices that even though, yeah, Asta's like a beefcake and he's really strong and different things like that, he actually got more strength in this punch than what he normally has. And this punch was also infused with a little bit of mana, making it basically making him on fire. So he punches the guy, and he gets sent flying down back into a different wall. And he's like, "What?" Asta walks up, and he grabs the 4-leaf clover grimoire, and he hands it back to Yuno now. The other guy, or chain magic guy, runs away, and that's basically how that goes. And I was thinking about giving Asta basically like lightning, but I feel like it would be better if he had or not better necessarily, but like it would make more sense if he had fire, because Sharingan kind of binds with the Uchiha, and that's like the main, like almost every single Uchiha has the fire release, but only a few certain ones actually have lightning. So I just figured it'd probably be more realistic to go with fire, even though I prefer lightning in a lot of ways. So now they begin their training before they're going to go to the Magic Knight's entrance exam stuff. And again, Asta actually does have mana in this, so he's gonna do a lot better than what he did originally. So Asta would go, and he'd still find the Swords Master, and he would actually get a relatively normal-looking sword. Like, he doesn't get, like, a massive, giant-ass freaking massive thing that he can, like, it swings around really slowly. No, he gets something that's more like the, what is it even called? The Demon Dweller sword, I think is the one. It's, like, the thin one that can, like, absorb the magic and do stuff like that. He gets one that's around that size, and it's still really strong. So he begins training with that, with the red-haired guy that actually trains him in swordsmanship, and he also trains with mana. So they do that for a good long time, and now they head over to the Magic Knight's entrance, or Magic Knight's basically testing thing, and they show up there, and when they get to the Magic Knight's basically area, they begin their tests after basically conversing with a few of the people there. Asta would still get his head gripped by Yami, and he would still basically manage to actually lift his hand off, impressing Yami by his basically sheer amount of strength that he has. So the entrance exams would begin, and Asta does a heck of a lot better than he normally does. He is able to fly on the broom and do all of those different things just because he's a lot stronger. So now the actual basically part where I can't even remember the name of it. It's called the actual part where basically like the combat fighting is now going to begin, and Asta is not really challenged by that one guy anymore, just because he actually looks relatively capable, and he's like, he wouldn't be easy pickings for me, basically. So Asta would probably just get challenged by some random noble, and I'm just going to say this random noble just has... I don't even know. We'll just say they also have fire magic, just for the sake of the video. So, they also have fire magic, and Asta he's a lot stronger. He's really strong. He activates his Sharingan, and he runs towards this guy now, with his sword in hand. He basically powers up the sword with the fire, basically, like making it like basically just a fire blade, and he charges at the guy now, and he goes for a slice, and he basically does it. Obviously he dulls like the edges of the blade so he doesn't like accidentally kill anybody, and he just bonks him in the head and knocks him out. So that happens fairly differently, I guess you could say. And now when everybody's being selected, Yuno still does exactly what he does, easily managing to take on anybody, and everybody basically raises their hand and wants him on their squad. So for the people who would want Asta on their squad, it's really only Yami still, just because he has that weird power. Like, everybody would be like, they don't really like weird things. They like nobles that have like strong types of magic, and he doesn't really have that. He has pretty strong magic, but he has a weird eyeball thing that seems to increase his basically stats. They don't really want to get involved with that. They just think it's way too weird for them, I guess you could say. So they do that, and he would still get invited into the Black Bulls. He accepts, obviously, and he's like, yes, I'm a fucking magic knight now, baby, yeah! And he meets all of his different squad mates. And now for the part where they basically are like, okay, you're gonna have to basically face off against Magna now. And Asta's like, okay, whatever. And Magna throws basically, or not throws, but he throws up a fireball and he hits it with his baseball. Asta powers up his sword, making it the flame sword, and he actually just cuts it clean in half. And everybody's like, whoa, that was not bad, because like they're like, oh, interesting. And so that happens, and then Magna basically uses one of his bigger balls, and Asta, for the first time in front of everybody, activates his Sharingan, and they all are looking at it, and they're like, what's that supposed to do? And when Magna throws his ball, they can see the clear speed that Asta is like, he increased his speed by like a lot, and he easily dodges out of the way of it, basically. And they're like, oh, interesting. He's pretty quick on his feet when he uses whatever that thing is. Everybody's asking him questions about it, and he's like, yeah, I have literally no idea what it is. All I know is that it increases my basically speed and strength and reaction time. That's really all I know. It's kind of weird. And he also is like, yeah, and I can see, like, it's kind of weird. I can like see the mana within everybody. So like I can tell that like Yami is really powerful just by the immense amount of mana that he has inside of him. And everybody's like, oh, interesting. That's kind of cool. And Asta's like, yeah, and it also allows me to basically unlock grimoire abilities a little bit quicker, I guess is what I've heard, I guess they have said about it. And they're like, oh, it's kind of weird. Just because like that's kind of like the copy ability of the Sharingan. It just allows him to basically like not necessarily copy other abilities with his grimoire, but it allows him... Yeah, let's just say if it's, like, fire, then he can copy that ability. That's just, like, it's just how it's going to work. So he can, like, copy Magna's fireballs, but he obviously doesn't, like, hit it with a bat. He just, like, throw it or do something like that with it. So he also has to be able to, like, have enough mana to be able to do it. And, like, say he used something like what Mara Leona has, it would definitely be a lot weaker than what she has, just because of her, like, immense amounts of power that she has would be much above Asta's. So, yeah. So, yeah, that happens. And now they are basically all accepted into the thingy-mabobber, and this is where Noelle shows up. She's like, she's still her noble self, I guess you could say, and she like throws a water ball and it hits Magna, even though she was aiming it at Asta. She then goes and she's training with her basically magic control, and Asta's watching it still. He ends up going out and looking at it, and she's like, how long have you been watching me? And Asta's like, oh, not too long, before he leaves. She then loses control of her magic, and Yami and everybody walk outside, and they're like, huh, that ain't good. They're just trying to figure out how they're actually going to be able to do it. And Yami picks up Finral, and he's just like, you know what, kid? You do it. And he just chucks him towards the massive, basically, water thing. Finral then basically gets Noelle out of it by using his spatial magic once he got close enough, and he's like, God damn it, Yami, that was fucking scary as hell. And Yami's like, I don't care, it's whatever, kid. And Noelle's like, still better than you guys. Kind of a thing. But she does end up, like, accepting, I guess you could say, the Black Knight's squad. So, that happens. So now, Yami and Magna would go, and they'd gamble away all of their different things, and then they would basically be like, yeah, we owe this guy a favor now, so now we have to go help him. So Asta, Noelle, and Magna all end up going, and they're basically just going to fight off some magic beasts. But when they actually do end up getting there, they see that this is not exactly what they were expecting, because there's like this weird like mana-infused mist that's basically rolling over. So Asta casually walks into it because he can see like all of the mana and see like people's outlines based on their mana, but everybody else is like, Asta, what are you doing? We can't see a fucking thing. He's like, oh, I can see. And then they're like, oh. He's like, just follow me. I can lead you to the center. The mist basically goes away once we get there. And they're like, okay then. So they get to the center, and there they see Mr. Weird Ice Boy. Magda and Asta both challenge him, and Noelle unlocks her, basically, defensive spell. I don't remember exactly what it's called, but you guys know what I'm talking about. She unlocks that spell. And Asta and Magna are actually doing pretty well, because they're fighting somebody with ice while we both have fire. So they actually pretty easily manage to take him down and all of his henchmen down, and then they end up just leaving because there's nothing more to do. But the Magna would still be saddened because the village leader, elder, whatever you guys want to call him, he ended up dying still, because there's no reason why they would have been there or got there faster, just because, like, there's no reason to say that they would have gotten there fast enough to save him. So, with that basically happening, they end up going back to the hideout, and they actually did end up getting a magic stone from that. So they then give it to the Wizard King, and he's like, I award you guys a gold star, and now they're still, like, negative, like, really far down. I don't remember exactly what it was. So they assign him a new mission, and they're like, yeah, we have rumors that there's this treasure, basically, in this dungeon. So they're like, okay, whatever. So Asta, Luck, and Noelle, I believe, are the ones that end up going on that mission, and they go on that mission. So once they arrive there, everything goes basically very similarly to canon up until they get outside and they face off against Mr. Diamond Guy. So once they face off against Mr. Diamond Guy, I can't remember his name right now, they are not really doing that great. When they show up, Asta sees that Yuno is basically fighting with him, but he's literally almost dead at this point. And he begins to basically help Yuno, and he isn't really able to do anything other than basically dodge the attacks and try to deal some damage, even though it really isn't working. So Asta would be like, shit, I can't fucking do anything right now. He's not able to win this battle. And this is where they see a massive sword that's about to come down, and it's about to basically kill Yuno. Yuno is trying to basically use his most powerful spell to try to, like, get it to not come down on him, and Asta basically joins in, and they actually manage to slightly deflect it, and it basically doesn't hit Yuno. And then a massive a spike of diamond would go, and it would impale Yuno. Asta would look over at this, and then he'd look back and forth between Mr. Diamond Guy and Yuno, and he'd be like, you just killed him. His eyes go a little bit deeper color of red, and they shape into more of a pinwheel. And Asta now looks up, opening his eyes for the first time once again, and everybody sees that his eyes have changed shape, into something that looks a little bit more like a pinwheel. And Asta has obviously just awakened the Mangekyo Sharingan due to seeing his best friend slash like brother figure seemingly killed in front of him. He now looks over and he can basically clearly see the difference in his speed and strength that was just basically added to him. And he feels a little bit different with his eyes. So now Asta gained a new spell as well inside of his grimoire, and that spell is called Entrance, which is basically just Sharingan Genjutsu, I guess you could say. So with that new spell, basically, he lunges towards basically I can't remember. Why can't I remember the guy's name? Diamond Guy, and he is actually putting him in this entrance spell, and he actually legit gets like knocked out from this due to never seeing anything like it before. So Asta would seemingly kill him, and he would go over to Yuno, who's actually still alive at this point. Mimosa, I think is her name, would actually, I think it's Mimosa, that might just be a drink, but I don't remember anymore. She would end up healing Yuno, obviously, and she would also heal everybody else there. They go in, Yuno still gets the wind spirit, and Asta, he finds a sword. It's not his normal, like, it's not like the Demon Dweller sword or anything like that, it's not anything like that. It's just a normal sword, except it's like about the same size as his sword, except it's like much more powerful. And when he picks up this sword, there's a new spell that actually unlocks in his grimoire. The spell called Enchant, which is basically just like he can enchant his items, weapons, armor, and different things like that to basically give them a power increase. He can also enchant his Sharingan, making him like be stronger, faster, different things like that. And this is one of his Mangekyo abilities. He hasn't even unlocked his other one just yet. So he goes in there, they continue looking around, and now Mr. Diamond Boy wakes back up. Asta enchants his Sharingan, and he once again uses the Entrance ability, I think is what I called it. And this time it like straight up not kills, but like he gets knocked out for like a much longer time, just because he basically put him in like a Genjutsu on the level of like Tsukuyomi. So like he is like he's like dying like on the floor. He's like, what was that? What did I just like? He is not exactly doing that great right now. So that's what happened with him. And as Asta is leaving, he gets yet another spell unlocked. And this is his other Mangekyo ability, which is called Absorb, which, as you could probably guess, it allows him to absorb mana attacks. And it doesn't allow him to like repel them or anything like that. It just allows him to absorb them, and basically it could increase his stamina and different things like that. And the stamina usually would go off of chakra, but it goes off of mana in this, and it's pretty simple. So he can like absorb different attacks, and basically he can't like make them his own and like send them back, but he can absorb the mana and basically add it to his mana pool, making him have more mana. I guess like he can like use that kind of like a mana potion, I guess you could say, or as rest, or whatever you want to call it. Whatever you want to do to end up getting your mana back, Asta can do that by simply absorbing people's attacks. So they end up leaving, and they're given another gold star, and cool, good, and fun. So that's where I'll leave this part off. Sorry for, it's a little bit shorter than my current what ifs. Like, this is longer than what my what ifs used to be, but like, I don't know. I'm just trying to get them to around 20 minutes, and this is probably good enough. Just because I don't want to continue it anymore, to be honest. Or I'll continue it later, obviously, but like as of right now, this is going to be the end of this. So I'll see you guys in the next part. Peace out. See you probably tomorrow in the next one.